Hello, I'm Toycat, and the 1.16 update is almost upon us. A whole brand new world of Nether blocks, Nether mobs, and Nether biomes is about to release for Minecraft, and although everyone knows about the headline features of this update, just in case you don't, I covered all 109 major Nether update features. I'll leave that video linked down below, but although everyone knows about these big headline features, there's a lot of smaller features coming in this update that you probably won't hear too much about. I mean, they do change the game in some serious way, but they're not so heavily covered because they seem kind of small on the surface. Like, did you know piglins will sometimes dance after they kill some hoglins? Or did you know you can stack 3 baby piglins on a hoglin? These are fairly small features, but actually do affect the fabric of Minecraft. The smaller features are the ones that really can make an impact to your longer term playstyle, and that's why I figured we'd go through 23 of those in today's video, and let's jump straight into it, shall we? And let's start by talking about the brand new trees. Everyone knows there are brand new trees in this update, except they're not actually brand new trees, they're technically brand new types of mushroom or fungi. So right now we have the brown mushroom, which you can of course turn into a giant brown mushroom, as well as the red mushroom, which turns into a giant red mushroom, but you might not know that in this update there's going to be the brand new warped and crimson fungus. So these fungus look like this, and if you bone meal them on their correct block, apparently not when one of these is nearby, if you bone meal them on the correct block, you'll see that you'll get one of these things in return. This is a type of tree in Minecraft, but it's not really a type of tree because it's a nether fungus that just happens to create stem blocks, which just so happen to basically be wood. And the ability to grow a brand new type of giant fungus tree thing on command is something people don't think about. So we have 2 brand new types of growable plants, kind of like the giant mushrooms. They make something that is just kind of weird to look at, bizarre to look at, but because it's got this nethery kind of theme, you can make your overworld much more nethery in this update using 2 brand new types of growable plant life. I mean, there's actually many more types, including the crimson, the roots. We've also got the giant twisting stems. We've got lots of things from the nether which can totally be used in the overworld, including the third smaller feature here that seems super small on the surface. It's the Shroomlight. So the Shroomlight just seems like, oh yeah, it's a type of glowstone, except it grows in a tree that is farmable. But the big deal here is that Shroomlights are farmable, whereas glowstone is not. Since the console edition of Minecraft was the only version that had renewable glowstone by making blazers drop it, since no other version has renewable glowstone, but every version is going to have renewable Shroomlights, we now have a tool in Minecraft that allows for the best type of light to be farmed. If you don't know, there are certain lights in Minecraft that have the max light level of 15. The glowstone, the lava, the jack-o'-lantern are all up here, and now by having one that's farmable, you can light up your world with a better light source that doesn't require you to strip farm the entire nether to try and look for glowstone, because instead we've got the Shroomlight. And to prove this one, let's quickly set the time to be night. As you're going to see right here, it is nighttime, and you can see how far the light from this goes. You can see how it kind of ends just over here between these 3 carpets. Let me show you how this looks exactly the same even when we have a Shroomlight in the exact same position. To take this exactly the opposite way though, you can take these nether tree fungus things into the overworld and you can do some cool things there, but you can also take your overworld trees into the nether. I mean, this makes sense. If you have dirt, you can grow a tree, but when you grow a tree, you have a 5% chance of that tree growing with a bee nest attached. This will work on either an oak or a birch tree, and all you need to guarantee it is to have a flower within a 2-block radius. As you can see, we have a bee nest in the nether, which interestingly enough means you can now combine the last 2 update themes together and have a honeybee nether update. Honey, the nether update's home? Question mark. I believe that this is a bad idea, but I will never stop making bad puns about updates. Speaking of improving older update features though, the Village and Pillage update was mostly famous for the villaging and the pillaging, but also in that update was a brand new set of walls. There's so many brand new walls that came in with that update, and although they've continued that trend with the Nether update, we've got blackstone, polished blackstone walls, etc., we've also improved every single wall, it seems, because this is how walls look in 1.16. Just for comparison, here's what they look like in 1.14. They've been seriously improved. If you want to kind of tile them together, you can now make entire walls of walls, which makes sense. I mean, they're literally called walls, but previously they looked awful. Unless you stack them one high, walls looked awful, but now you can make a wall of walls and it actually makes sense, which sounds super dumb that like, wait, you couldn't make a proper walls of walls without it being like dumb and having gaps in it? No, you couldn't, and I really, really love this improvement. I think stone brick is the best example, but there are so many other great ones out there if you want to have a nice wall in Minecraft. So the next change also seems like it's a pretty small one and it won't really affect your gameplay, but I do assure you this is part of the future plan for where Minecraft is going, because they have added emotes in the 1.16 update. You might not have heard about these, and truthfully, even if you've been playing the betas, you might have missed these features entirely, because if you press the B key on PC, or if you press the left on the D-pad button on a controller, you'll find the emote menu. So you can change your emotes in the settings menu just like this. There are 3 available for free by default, and there's a possible of 6 you can bind at any one time, and by pressing the B key, you can signal to do these sorts of things. So there is an emote that allows you to wave. Isn't this kind of interesting? There's an emote that allows you to clap to award someone, and then there's an emote which allows you to signal over there, although again, a little bit dodgy the way you signal it, but for now, we'll just say that's okay. And yeah, basically, this is a brand new feature for 1.16. It only is likely to come to Bedrock because, again, it seems like it's got some perhaps monetization plans in there that they don't like to slip in on the Java, but there are going to be brand new emotes in the 1.16 update, at least for Bedrock, and that is fascinating because of the kind of area they clearly intend to take this, in my opinion. Again, I am very, very curious, and it's something that changes because in Minecraft, we've always known there's there's 2 emotes that you need. There's crouch repeatedly to signal for mercy, and there's point over there with your fist. Those are the, or waving as well, and also everything in between. Those are the only 2 emotes we've ever had, but now we're going to be able to clap our hands and so much more, and isn't that a delight? Or perhaps it is a bore, you could say. The next change is fairly small on the surface, but is actually kind of great because no longer can Enderman pick up Netherrack in any dimension. As you can see, I've got a giant Netherrack platform right here. I've got about 100 Endermen standing on it, and despite that fact, not a single one of these Endermen have picked up a block of Netherrack. Some of them have picked up mushrooms, as you can see, that have spawned on here, and they will be able to pick up Nilium from the 2 brand new biomes, so there's a lot of brand new blocks they can pick up. I'll show you those on screen, but they can't pick up Netherrack anymore, which is a big deal because if you want to make a Enderman proof thing, which is going to be essential in the Warp Forest biome, where you'll see a lot more Endermen than before, then what you need to do is make it out of Netherrack, and all of your existing Netherrack contraptions are now safe from Enderman in any dimension, which again is something I really love as someone who made a 7,000 block road out of Netherrack. Turns out I love not having that be destroyed by Enderman, because it was in the end, which was a really bad idea retrospectively. Anyway, speaking of changes to the threats in the Nether, the ghasts are now going to be less of one, because obviously they won't spawn in 2 of the Nether biomes. The Crimson Forest and the Warp Forest will be ghast free, and in the biomes where the ghasts do spawn, the sounds are heard from a shorter range. So this is listed on the changelogs for both Bedrock and for Java. However, on Bedrock, I did some testing, and it seems as though you can hear them from the same range on both. I went 90 blocks away from a ghast, and I could still hear it regardless of my platform, but it is a Java feature that you can hear ghasts from a shorter range instead of them being so loud from so far. This is a key change because ghasts are so ominous and terrifying, and I don't like it in the slightest. Speaking of things I don't like, the lava sea, which coats the entire bottom of the Nether, is something that is just formidable to look at, right? I mean, it's one of your worst nightmares in the Nether because you tend to die in there a bunch, and one of the things you might have missed about this update is it's actually changing that too. It's not changing the lava lair or where it spawns per se, but it is spawning what you'll find if you go underneath it. That's right, just to show you right here, we'll fill and replace some of the lava in a little bubble like this. Maybe we need to do slightly more blocks, but what we're going to do is I'm going to show you what it looks like without any blocks down there underneath the lava, because you might be surprised to learn that instead of Netherrack, you'll actually find some Nilium underneath the Crimson Forest and the Warp Forest. But even if you go to a Nether Waste biome or any existing biome, what you'll find under here might just shock you. Actually, it's mostly Nilium, but what you'll be able to find down here, besides new Nether Gold ore, is brand new patches of black stone, which again did not exist under the Nether. It didn't exist in the Nether at all, but now it exists underneath the piles of lava in every biome. So if you want to find black stone, just dig down below the lava. That's a fun idea, right? But alongside blackstone, you'll also find patches of gravel down here. That's right, they made gravel slightly more common. Can't say I'm a huge fan of that, but what I can say I'm a huge fan of, just a thing I discovered literally while doing this video, and as a reminder of why it's always cool to dive into the smaller features and updates, changing the surface of the ocean floor, or the lava ocean floor, the lava lake floor, changing the surface of that has some really interesting implications that really make me want to start a brand new project of draining down here. Look at the transition between biomes with this thing applied right here. You can see how beautiful it really is under here, under the sea, and yeah, being surrounded on lava on all sides while still having having access to, in this case, a basalt deltas crossing over into a a warped forest is just so cool in my opinion. And also, once you clear it, Endermen are very happy to spawn down there, so maybe there's some advantage for farming reasons. Or maybe, overall, this is just a cool feature that I really like. I don't know for sure what you think about it, but I love seeing what it's like underneath the ocean floor, and I love having this little area right here. It's very fascinating. But you know what else is fascinating? It's the fact that bones are far easier to obtain in the Nether update than they were before, because there's effectively the bone biome at this point. I mean, if you don't know, soul sand valleys are now the exclusive biome where skeletons spawn, more common than any other mob. You could find skeletons in the Nether before, but only in fortresses in rare cases, whereas the soul sand valley is chock full of skeletons. This means you can farm for the arrows if you really want to without having to make a farm. This means that you can get bones much easier if you really want to without having to make a farm or having to do crazy stuff with your composter. And yeah, there is now a biome dedicated to the skeleton, which is interesting because it's the soul sand valley, and for some reason that means skeletons everywhere. But yeah, one of the other interesting things about this biome that makes it kind of bone related, you might know that it spawns fossils around here. You might not know that these fossils are actually their own exclusive structure. A lot of people think of them as being like, oh, it's just fossils from the overworld in the Nether. No, look at this fossil right here. This is naturally generated. I didn't play around with this. As you can tell, this isn't one of the naturally generating overworld fossils. There is a whole subclass of fossils now called the Nether Fossils, and they look different, and they are, more importantly than their looks, a source of bone blocks here in the Nether that doesn't require killing skeletons. Although, you can totally do both at the same time if you really want to. Unless they're being annoying, in which case that's a bit harder. It should be worth mentioning that bones are also easier to obtain in the overworld, or by peaceful farming methods, if you want to see it that way, because you can actually now take almost all of the Nether vegetation and put it into a composter. Do you want to take your vines and throw them in there? You can totally do that. Put your fungus in there? Yeah, even your Nether warp blocks, which you can farm in the overworld without having to go to the, Nether more than once, you can now throw it straight into your composter, and yeah, all of the blocks on screen will work, with the exception of Nether sprouts, which will only work on Java Edition for some reason. But besides that, the fungi, the Nether warp blocks, the roots, the twisting vines, the warp blocks, and the weeping vines will all work in your composter. Don't ask me why this is an exception. I assume it's a bug, or maybe Bedrock just hates Nether sprouts. But do you know what Bedrock doesn't hate? The ability to undye your shulker boxes. As you can see right here, I've got a red shulker box, and I've got myself a cauldron full of water. A feature you'll soon be able to take advantage of if you don't like the color you dyed your shulker box is you'll be able to undye it and take it back to its normal purple state. Although purple is kind of default, there's also a purple shulker box, but let's not dive into that. You can take any shulker box you want, and you can dye it, and you can, or undye it, I guess you should say, back to its normal purple color, because as you can see, a white shulker box is not actually white, it's just dyed white, and it's all purple on the inside, just like human beings, right? Probably, maybe. That's definitely true. You know what else is definitely true? The fact that you can actually, after this update, use a wither out of not just soul sand, which is a block which exists before now, but also soul soil, a brand new block. How much will this realistically affect your day-to-day life? I imagine not much, because if you're fighting the wither, the soul sand is probably not the limiting factor, but just in case you have a big phobia of soul soil and soul sand, and you want to use soul soil instead, you can totally do that, and that's a great way to die, in my opinion. Speaking of dying, the Nether now has brand new Nether sounds that are biome specific. I mean, everyone knows about the brand new music disc in the Nether, Pig Step, best song in Minecraft, by the way, and everyone knows that there are biome specific tracks for various biomes around the world, all composed by Lena Rain, a brand new Minecraft composer, but you might not know there are Nether sounds that play on top of that to add a little bit of spookiness. They're very quiet and hard to pick up in normal Minecraft, but they are indeed in the game. Something else that is not going to come up very often, but is super intriguing to me, is the fact that there is a rivalry between two brand new mobs. And no, I'm not talking about the Piglins and the Hoglins, everyone knows about that, that's a natural part of the balance in the Nether, but wither skeletons, which are previously just skeletons who want you dead, they also want Piglins dead. There is a official war between Piglins and wither skeletons. I don't know why it's the case, and I don't know, honestly, who has the upper hand in it, although apparently, even with the first strike advantage, it seems the Piglin cannot win. But yeah, there is a war between wither skeletons and Piglins, which won't play out very often because they usually spawn in different places, but not always, so just keep that in mind. Who wins the fight between wither skeletons and Piglins? That is one I would love to confirm and see. Also, it seems piglins have much faster AI than wither skeletons, so today we learned. Speaking of things that you might have just learned today, here is something interesting that you can do in the Nether, or you can do it anywhere. You can now enchant your compass with a brand new enchantment, the Curse of Vanishing. So the curses have existed on Java for a few updates, they're brand new to Bedrock, but this is the first time for either edition that you can enchant your compass. Would you ever want to do this willingly? No, you want to do this for someone else's compass or for an adventure map, or maybe you just like trolling your friends and giving them a magic enchanted compass. But either way, you definitely don't want to enchant your compass because the only enchantment it accepts is literally a curse that means when you die, it will vanish from your inventory. You will never be, when you die, this dies, is a simple way to put that. And a simple way to put something else is that bone meal is more powerful. You know, it's not only just easier to obtain in both the Soul Sand Valley and the Composter, but also if you place it on a Nillium block, you can see how you'll get a bunch of nether sprouts and sometimes you'll get the little warp funguses. This is really useful because to tie back to the start of the video, you can make all these warp funguses into the giant stem blocks. Those stem blocks provide Shroomlights. They provide the warp blocks which you can put into your composter, use that composter to get bone meal, then use that bone meal to grow more of these, and you've got yourself a lovely endless cycle. I love this. It's a nice part of nether balance. It's not just true for the warp Nillium, it's true for crimson Nillium as well, and it's just as useful on either. Speaking of things that are just as useful on either, the Java edition of Minecraft has brand new advancements in the game. The advancements are, in case you're curious, one for obtaining ancient debris, getting full netherite armor, using a compass on a lodestone, and crying obsidian, respawn anchor to the maximum, etc, etc, etc. All of these brand new advancements will be available for Java, but the thing a lot of people don't realize is that also means that if you play on Xbox, Switch, Windows 10, Android, or iOS, any Bedrock platform, you'll be able to get achievements. And if you play on PlayStation 4, you'll get trophies, but there'll be brand new achievements or trophies in this update that will likely correspond with those same Java things. So yeah, Minecraft is getting even more achievement filled. In case you're curious, a normal game has 1,000 gamer score. Minecraft has 2,475. I've gotten all of the achievements on the Xbox version. As you can see here on Windows 10, we've got 49 of 107, despite playing for 0 hours, apparently. So, you know, that's pretty good in my opinion. But yeah, that is a thing. That is a thing that you might not know about. Next up, it's a fairly simple one, but the spawn point command now exists on Bedrock, and you can use it in the Nether if you want to. You can set your spawn to the Nether right here, as you can see, and now if I die, I will respawn in the Nether, even without a lodestone. Obviously, this is a cheat command. If you want to do this in survival, use the respawn anchor, a major feature in this update, but it's kind of cool that you can do that with commands if you want to. So if you want to make Nether-based survival maps, or Nether-based adventure maps, or whatever you want to make, you can now do that with the Nether as your starting point, or indeed with the end. So speaking of things you can do in the Nether and the end, as you've probably noticed by the counter, we have just one smaller feature to go through in today's video, and this is one that I've saved for last because it is the best, it is the most important. I would argue it will change the entire way that you play Minecraft. You're gonna have to rethink literally everything about your survival world as a consequence of this last smaller change, because did you know in this update they have mildly improved the spawn rate of the squid. That's right, squid will spawn slightly more often than they did before. This is actually really handy if you want black dye, which means if you want black shulker boxes or black concrete powder or black wool or really anything, in that sense, you're gonna really want some, obviously squid ink. Squid ink was kind of hard to find, and now it's slightly easier, which is all important on the Bedrock version at least. I don't know, you Java players, do you feel like you need more squid? Because I definitely do, given that they do not have any way to breed them. You just have to find them in the overworld, which is an awful way of finding squid in my opinion. Maybe you disagree. I know you can also farm them if you really want to, but basically, I just want to mention that this feature is going to change everything, and I'm glad that you came along to hear my TED talk about it. But the most interesting thing about this update is not the fact that there are this many features, 109, plus a lot of smaller features. There are so many I left off here because they were only for Java or only for Bedrock, or were hard to prove on either version. But it is worth mentioning there's a lot of changes in this update. In fact, because of all the bug fixes that are included that I don't really count as features, there are actually 20 pages worth of changes in this update. That is something we've seen confirmed by Aubrey Norris, the leader of the Minecraft community management team, which means that yeah, we have ourselves a changelog consisting 20 pages long. That is a huge number of line items, even if it was 10 items a page and it's more like 20 or 30, we're talking about a changelog of, hundreds of different changes, some of which are minor, but every single one will affect at least a Minecraft player, and that is why the Nether update is kind of a huge deal in my opinion. Maybe you disagree though. Let me know in the comments down below. Again, if you want to watch the 109 major features, if somehow you missed that, I'll leave that linked in the description just to help you out. And if you want to see more of these videos, because as the Nether update gets closer to release, and indeed does release, you can expect to see videos about it every single day here on my channel, and I look forward to seeing you in the rest of those. Because I would never be able to make these videos without all of your support. Thank you for watching. Thank you to the new editor for putting this whole thing together. I'll leave a link to his Twitter down below, and I'll see you all in the next one. Goodbye.